Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So this video is going to be just a short update to one of the lines that I recommend in the 6f3 classical Sicilian. This was brought to my attention by Lord Stronghold in the YouTube comment section, and there was a very interesting theoretical discussion there. So I recommend if you if you have no idea what I'm going to be talking about today, or if you want to look at what we discussed specifically, then you can check the comment section of that video that I will link in the description below. So in the line that I recommend here, after f3, e5, knight b3, bishop e7, and bishop e3, Lord Stronghold does mention that bishop e6 is possibly the best move, or one of the best moves. I still prefer the move castles here and going to my main recommendation, but bishop e6 here is very much playable, and there's a lot of theory that surrounds after knight d5 and queen e2, but I'm not going to be discussing that. Some very interesting lines with queen e2 you can see further in Shankland's course or in the short discussion that we had in the comment section. But we're going to go after castles, queen d2 and a5 here. Bishop b5 was the line that I discussed, and after bishop e6, castles, knight b4. So this is the move that Ivanchuk chose against Alexei Fedorov in 2005. And the only move that I mentioned in that video was a3, after which we play the strong move queen c7, and there are a lot of spicy lines in that variation. But here, there's an additional line which seems quite dangerous, which is the move king b1. And after this, the only move that it can equalize is the move d5. And after e takes d5, knight b takes d5, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, and bishop c4. At first glance, I was quite afraid of this variation. I did not even know this was a possibility. But after some digging with the engine, this seems to be completely playable, although it reaches quite a dry position in the endgame. So after knight takes e3, queen takes e3, and queen c8, bishop takes e6, queen takes e6, and rook h to e1. This looks quite dangerous, to be honest, from a positional standpoint, because this e5 pawn is vulnerable to being attacked with possible f4 ideas. But after some digging, this seems to be completely playable. So I'm just going to show you the way to equalize here. The point is that white has problems with the back rank, and so we have to play this move, rook f to d8. So this is the only move that equalizes. And there are two moves here discussed by the engine. One of them was played in 2021 here, as we can see in this game. David Cumming versus Graziano Ottolini. And yeah, essentially the at depth 33 of Stockfish 14, they evaluate this as plus 0.14, which is very much equal. So you just need to know how to deal with that. And there's also the move a3 here, which clears up the back rank, but we go for the same approach of playing b6 here. And essentially, they cannot go for queen takes e5 because of rook d1. And similarly, queen takes e5 here runs into rook d1, just winning on the spot. So after the move b6 here, I discussed rook takes d8 and rook takes d8. And there's the move knight c1 here, which is very thematic to play knight d3. And there's also the move queen c3 here. The easiest move, queen c3, let's just get it out of the way. We can play bishop f6 here, and I think next move we can play g6. There are no problems here for black, I think. So we can see knight c1, trying to go to d3 here. And in this position, there's a very important finesse that we need to know. We need to play the move bishop h4 first to provoke g3. The point is that if we play bishop f6, which we want to do in the first place, the problem is that after knight d3, okay, we cannot play rook d5 here because of f4. And for example, e takes f4, queen f3, queen d7, queen takes d5. We have our own problems on the back rank. We have to play g6 here. And for the same tactical reasons, this pawn cannot be captured. So after bishop f6 and g6, knight d3 and g6, f4 here works, because after e takes f4, queen takes e6, fe6, and rook takes e6, the problem is that the b6 pawn will drop, the bishop on f6 is hanging, and the pawn on f4 is very weak. But if we provoke the move g3 here after playing bishop h4 and g3, bishop f6, knight d3, and g6, so the only difference between this position and the one that we saw earlier is that the g3 move is included. And the problem for white is that f4, The problem for white is that f4 here does not work because e takes f4 comes, and after queen takes e6, f e6, and rook takes e6, we can play the move king f7, rook takes b6, and f3. So the inclusion of this move g3 here allows us to push the pawn forward, and the computer values this as minus 1.5, so borderline winning. So that's an important thing to know. And after knight takes f4, we can just play e5, which reaches equality on the spot. Knight d3, I think rook d5 is pretty simple. Or even rook e8 to try to push the pawn. Or just keep it there. Anyways, that's definitely playable. And so instead of f4, g4 here is the best move, after which we can play rook d5. And I analyze after g5, we can play e4 here. The point is that we attack this pawn. And so f takes e4, rook takes g5 seems to be equal. And queen takes e4 is a mistake because it's an inaccuracy because queen takes e4, f e4, and rook takes g5. And our bishop on f6 is actually opened up on this diagonal. And this pawn on e4 is not coming forward anytime soon. It can become a weakness, and I think we have a very nice position here. So that's what happens after g5. Against queen d2, there's a simple solution here. Queen d6 with a pin, rook e4, rook d4, and we can eventually simplify into this position with queen e6. I think that this is the best chance that white has to try to fight for advantage, but it's very much equal objectively. The only problem with this position is that the bishop on f6 is blocked by the e5 pawn, which I don't particularly love in this position, but objectively this is playable and very much equal. So yeah, that's the finesse that you need to know with bishop h4. And I think here, instead of a3, there's also the move queen e4 here. Yeah, okay, so the point of queen e4 is that they attack b7, and there's also no possibility of bishop h4 instead of the line for example, a3. And so after b6, knight c1, and bishop f6, I think that this is, okay, we can just follow the game here. After a4 and g6, we don't seem to have any problems here. For example, I think knight d3, yeah, rook ac8 is completely fine, and there are tactical problems for white as to why they cannot take the pawn on e5. And so I think that concludes this video update. Overall, I think I would still believe in my recommendation of playing this way with the move knight b4 here, because the chance of white playing a3 and us getting a very nice position after queen c7 is very high. And unless you're like a GM or like with world-class preparation, I think king b1 and like following this specific line is quite unlikely. Although as you saw in this video, it's definitely not refuted or anything. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I've already updated the PGN file of this 6f3 variation in that video, in the previous video that I made many months ago, and I've also uploaded it into G Drive, and you can see in the link in the description of this video. So that's going to be it from me. Stay safe and have fun playing chess, everyone. Bye bye.